Hi everybody, Andy here again. This may well turn out to be quite a long video because I watched a couple of videos a couple of days ago. One by Felix, I believe he's Portuguese, and then a response to his video by Gary Anakin 1814, and it was all to do with interaction and also all to do with where we are now on the internet and all these different sites that are springing up, and our presence here on the internet, and how the internet sort of has taken over our lives, or has taken over our lives, whether we're addicted to it, you know, where our presence is, and all that sort of thing. And I started doing a comment to Gary, and I did about one 500-word comment, and I just couldn't finish it, and I thought, no, I can't do this. I'm going to have to put something down on tape or something. So I'm just, in some ways, just thinking out loud again. So as I said, this could go on, although I've got a couple of little things written down. But one of the things that both of them, Felix and Gary, were talking about was where our presence is now. And they were saying things about all the new things that have come along, or relatively new things, like Twitter and all these other things that have come on. I've actually got a list here. I've actually written down a list and prepared myself. Apart from YouTube, obviously, I'm also on live video, although it's one of those things that I never use. Sometimes a lot of these things, I think a lot of other people that's very similar, is that they've got a presence on these sites just in case they want to use it, or maybe just to visit it. Someone recommends something and they think, oh, I'll go and give that a try, or they find something. So live video, blog TV is something that I've signed up for, but once again I probably never use it. I saw someone else mention it and I thought, oh, that looks quite good. It does look quite good. Ustream TV, very similar type of thing as well. A Blogger, the old blogging sort of site. Before I started on YouTube, I actually started a blog on a Blogger. I think I'm Andy Mooseman on there, but I wouldn't bother looking. Most of these things I'm Andy Mooseman on, by the way. If you ever wanted to check them out, as I said, not that I'm very active. I haven't done a blog on the Blogger thing for years now, because I discovered YouTube, found that was far more what I wanted to do. As I said numerous times before, I prefer either hearing someone's voice or seeing someone speaking, hearing someone speaking, rather than writing. My writing it's all right, but it's not as good as some people. I see some blogs and you think, oh, that's brilliant, but I can speak faster than I can type. I speak far too much sometimes, but that's another story altogether. You can imagine how long some of these blogs would be if I actually committed them and did them that way. I find it easier to do it this way, to talk off the top of my head, thinking out loud, that type of thing, and seeing where that goes, rather than having to sort of plan it out a bit that way, because the fingers can never keep up with the mouth, you know. Blog at MySpace. I'm on MySpace. I've actually got my own channel, but I never use that one. It's not, once again, it's one of those things that I've just created a presence. But obviously, I run the Hastings Rock MySpace page for the radio station, although that's not me, obviously, that is for the station. But I know some of you guys out there are actually friends, and why not come along and join if you're not. Yahoo message boards, I'm on a few of those as well, mainly to do with the radio side of things as well. We have like a committee message board, and we have like a friends sort of wide circle message board, and there's a forum that I belong to as well. Flickr, I sort of came off of Flickr and went back on it again. I was sort of debating, and I thought, well, no, some people like my photos, so I decided to put some of them back up. That's a working process. At the moment, the Andy Mooseman name I couldn't use for some reason, so I'm Andy Mooseman 1 on there, and I say I have started uploading some more photos on there, so anyone who likes my photos, that's where you can find me. Trip Films, which is something that's all Ken RG's fault. He happened to mention it somewhere, or to somebody, and they mentioned it to me, and that is like a travel type of thing, and it's for people putting up all about travel vlogs or whatever, photography, whatever, like travelogues, if you want to call them like that. So that's ideal for me, for my scenic walks and the photography videos I've done from when I've been abroad and that sort of thing. So I've started putting some things up there. I've been uploading some videos earlier on. That's in its infancy, but it looks quite a good little site actually, if you like that type of thing. So it's specialising, which is something I'll probably come on to if I remember a bit later on. I'm Andy Mooseman on there as well. 1066 TV, which is a local Hastings-based internet TV station. I've put some bits and pieces on there. I was contacted and they've taken some of my videos, and that's something that's happened to me with a couple of other sites which I've never really done anything with. I was approached some time ago. Once again, these are things that are starting up, and I think that's one of the things that's happening here. People are talking about an overload of all this information, an overload of all these sites that there are. As I said, I haven't bothered with Facebook. I've had plenty of opportunities, but it isn't really me, I don't think. Twitter, doesn't really interest me, I'm afraid. That's sort of getting a bit to the sort of minutiae of sort of things and silly little comments. No offence to anyone who's on it, I'm sure it's brilliant, but that time-lapse thing of the, you know, the US to Europe, you know, across the world, and we are a worldwide community, I think maybe that doesn't work quite so. I'm not to say I've never used it, so, you know, forgive me, but it doesn't really appeal to me. But I think that's what's happening. We've got so many sites coming out now. I mentioned things like Trip Films, Blog TV and that. YouTube has become the byword for sort of video sharing sites, obviously, and other places like MySpace are the big one in their field, Facebook are the big one in their field. Yes, I'm all for competition. I'm all for seeing new people coming along trying to improve things, and I know we've got people on this site who are thinking about that type of thing as well in the near future. More tuned to us, the vloggers, which I suppose is what Blog TV and that is about, really. But it's a bit too much in my opinion, and I just, oh God, I can't be bothered to sort of, you know, I have enough trouble keeping up with YouTube, with the MySpace things, with the other things. Yes, I know I've just committed myself to a couple of other things as well, but that's my choice. I don't really want to have to keep jumping around here and there, as I said, creating a presence. And I think a lot of these places will sort of be weeded out in time to come. The places like YouTube, although we bitch and moan about it and we grumble all the time, they are getting their act together. They do change things. Things are getting better all the time, I think, in that respect. Yes, there's a lot wrong with the site, but it's free. It's better than a lot of other places, and all you guys are there. And I think that's ultimately what's going to keep us all here, is the fact that we've now got on these sites. I was saying in the video not long ago that I didn't come on to YouTube, I didn't go on to Blogger, I didn't go on to MySpace particularly to make friends as such. I came there to explore, I suppose, experiment, and then it starts to take over your life, especially the YouTube thing. As I said, I left the blogging behind, hardly touched MySpace apart from when I have to because of the radio side of it. That side of it doesn't interest me, but this does, and I've mentioned before about the future, what we've got here and how that could be sort of quite revolutionary and where we're going and all this. And I think there is a lot to come. That's why other people are, say, jumping on the bandwagon. They're trying slightly different angles, but I think a lot of those are going to disappear by the wayside. That's no reason not to check them out. Yeah, by all means check them out. So another couple of things that I've done actually, and once again I haven't really explored this. I've got sort of sites on Cafe Press where I've designed a few t-shirts. I haven't touched that for ages. And I've also got one on Spreadshirt in the UK. I don't know whether, I think there's a Spreadshirt in the US, Spreadshirt, yeah that's right, in the US, and I presume it works over there as well, and I think I'm andymooseman on there as well. Started sort of coming up with some ideas for t-shirts, because as you might know, I sort of mentioned about sort of notebooks and things that I kept, and I've just looked at how many notebooks. There's one thing I've got, there's another one here. There's an old one here, and there's this one here, and that included in that is loads and loads of bits of paper. So, this is trying to consolidate all of this type of thing, and written in here are lots of little ideas for slogans, for ideas, maybe as titles for vlogs, maybe, you know, and which I can expand on. I'm forever jotting things down, my mind's sort of whirring all the time, and which is, you know, why I'm doing this and talking to the camera and that sort of thing, to get the ideas out there, put them onto video and see if I can use them. And as I said, I've got bits of paper. Some of it is all around the sort of same sort of subjects, but several of them are sort of comments that people have made or ideas that have popped up in my head because of that, and I've written little things down. So I've started exploring that and maybe thinking about making t-shirts and that sort of thing out of that. You never know, it's for my own ideas, I suppose, my own personal use, because I've actually bought a couple of the t-shirts myself to see what they look like. And they say the Spreadshirt UK site, if you go on, I think it's andymooseman, there's a couple of 3 t-shirts on there if you're interested. I should have been wearing one really, shouldn't I? But one of those sort of ideas did come out of a comment from a video some time ago, so you might be interested in that. But the